There's a priority around here. We're arming squires and children with igniters now. Waste of good gear. It's better off in my hands. Give it here.
Brute force, crude insults. The world is yours for the taking.
Care to say that again, boy?
We all have our reasons to enlist. Now get back in line.
Oh, another high and mighty Clamar, is it? You think your pretty words will measure up to pure Rousseau strength?
Oh, forget the tribes. This is a matter of pride. Now, you owe us both an apology.
Come on, no fighting in the ranks.
Sorry for making a scene. You all right?
No matter the obstacle at hand, Strohl is the first to question the status quo and fight for his beliefs, to help anyone in need. It's no wonder Strohl is a fan favorite. But what drives him? What makes him so different from the other members of his privileged tribe? Hey, I'm Therapy Through Pixels. I'm a licensed therapist and amateur artist, and today I'll be painting Strohl from MetaphorRefantazio while we take a deep dive into the psychology of Strohl. Leon Strohl de Halietis is the son of the Count of Halia. As a lord and a member of the Clamar tribe, as indicated by his horns, he has a privileged upbringing. Strohl describes himself as a spoiled little lordling, his status affording him to grow up sheltered from the hardships of the world, his needs met by servants, and the fortune to be well educated by private tutors. And that was until his village was destroyed by a vicious and terrible monster, and the land's soldiers refused to provide aid. He and what remained of his people were forced to flee. Strohl lost many things that night, including his beloved parents. With this kind of upbringing, we might expect Strohl to take hard work for granted, maybe even look down on others, maybe be a spoiled brat. And while admittedly cocky and proud at times, Strohl is a loyal protector of the weak. He's charismatic, reliable, and determined. He's the Lancelot to our Arthur. He is best boy. You may have heard of the phrase nature versus nurture. It is the idea that many aspects of our personality originate from genetics, the nature, and our social environment in which we were raised, the nurture. I believe Strohl's a great example of how upbringing makes all the difference. When Strohl finds his father's will, he reads that the family treasure was dispatched to the royal capital. The treasure he's referring to here are the people of Halia. Strohl's father believed a noble man is the shield in his people's hands. Strohl's father spent his years providing charity for those less fortunate than he, and he went out of his way to treat people equally. These are all aspects of his father that Strohl admires most, giving us insight to Strohl's own values that shape his behavior. Strohl strives to live by his parents' words, to be the shield not just to his people, but all the peoples of the world. Strohl eventually learns that the destruction of his village was orchestrated by the main villain of the game as a political maneuver meant to send a message to the governing body of a nearby city. This revelation lights a fire in Strohl's heart.
You struggle in vain. I won't let you rob me of my glory! This is the way of the real world, little lordling!
You call this real? Leaders abandon their people and the innocent die by their scorn. If that's the real world, then it can die alongside you! My name is Leon Strohl de Halietas. My home and my family were taken from me. I am the last of my house. I am the last of my noble bloodline. And in the name of my people, I will strike you down where you stand!
Strohl's personal quest sees him reconnecting to his heritage, his people, and learning what being a noble means to him. Strohl journeys to find his family's inheritance so that he may provide housing for the people of his village. He grows to understand that, more than being a noble, he is someone that will always extend his hands to those in need. Strong though he may be, Strohl faces his own internal demons. There's the regret of not being able to do more to save his people, the guilt over being a burden passed around between relatives, and feeling lost and confused over what his nobility means now. Strohl questions his own worth. When met with unwanted internal stimuli, such as these feelings of regret and guilt and grief, the brain will do what the brain does best: it problem solves. The sympathetic nervous system gets activated so that the body has the resources needed to solve the problem. The way Strohl's system reacts is to move towards these problems, to fight, instead of moving away, flight. He proactively seeks opportunities to help those in need. He's determined to not be a burden. He charts a path towards becoming the beloved son, worthy of his parents' title. This is the essence of resilience. Resilience is our ability to adapt to our circumstances. We all have different levels of resilience based on the environment we grew up in, but this skill can be practiced and grown. Your resilience determines how you interact with the world, find resources, and engage in coping skills. For example, if two people have major depressive disorder, the individual with the higher resilience would most likely recover faster and be overall less impacted than the person with a lower resilience. To be resilient is to have psychological flexibility. Curious about your own resilience skill? Think of the times in which you faced adversity. What did your brain naturally do during that time? We all have different ways of processing what has happened to us. Some of us are more feelings-based. Some of us are more logic-based. Some of us deal with our problems by leaning in, and some of us lean away. But there are some commonalities we see in people with great resilience. The first is the ability to problem solve, work out the pros and cons, discover and test possible solutions. This process involves leaning in to the anxiety caused by the problem rather than avoiding the anxiety, and suggests this person has enough flexibility that they can sit with that anxiety in order to find a solution. People who are resilient often display optimism and confidence that things will work out if you keep moving forward, or otherwise have some motivation to do so. If you're worried about having low resistance, there's good news. This is a skill that can be practiced and strengthened like any other. And part of a therapist's job is to help their clients discover and build their resilience. Strohl is a fantastic example of the power of resilience. He struggles with regret and guilt and grief, feeling lost with who he is and where his place is in the world. But Strohl's optimism and determination shape how he responds to these unwanted feelings. Strohl leans in and seeks out the solution to his problems. He finds a path forward to move himself closer to his values, to protect those less fortunate, and finds happiness in it. If you liked this video, I also have a similar video about Luis, and I'm working on one for Hulkenberg. Please consider subscribing, or you can come yell at me on Blue Sky. The link is in my bio. You can also comment to request a character you'd like to see painted, or if you want to hear me yap about their mental health. Bye, guys.